collect all the firewood. It's a little bit less than what we ordered. It goes by weight here, not by volume. So our wood delivery man had to guesstimate how much he was bringing us before driving to the village, weighing scales. And so he said that he could bring around another 200 kilos for us later this week if we wanted. So that's what will probably happen. The wood chips and small pieces of bark are just going on the compost heap.
One of the typical features of the landscape in our area are the terraced hills with dry stone retaining walls. The Alta Longa has miles and miles and miles of them. The dry stone walls were built over the centuries to minimize erosion of the soil and improve water retention, so that vegetable gardens, orchards and vineyards could be planted. Our own hill is also covered in these terraces. The terraces on our land are mostly overgrown by young forest now, although we know that not too long ago there were vineyards and an olive grove here. Some of our neighbors have restored and maintained their terraces, and we plan to do the same. Since 2018, the dry stone walls of Italy have been declared UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage, so we aim to restore our dry stone walls back to their former glory, starting with the terraces around the house and working our way slowly outward. We've got many meters of terrace to clean up and repair, but this one is probably the tallest of all. It's also right beside the main road, and a few weeks ago the ditch has been cleaned out, so there's also that.
Zoveel paddenstoelen daar beneden. Nee, maar nu zie ik dat ineens. Kijk hoeveel witte paddenstoel.
Ah, ja. Dat zijn allemaal paddenstoelen.
Ja.
Nice.
Along the road is a retaining wall around our garden area, and it has a big hole in it, which we would like to fix. The day after tomorrow it's going to rain, but they've predicted 2 weeks of dry weather afterwards. So we're waiting for the dry spell to tackle the hole in the wall. So in the meantime we've been tackling a few other jobs, like cutting away a dead shrub that was compromising the retaining wall. Now that it's gone, it also has opened up the view, because right where you're standing I'm going to build a stone garden bench. Now that's why we're building a garden bench here.
te verder onder doen. Ja?
Ja.
Voel eens. Ja.
Stabieler.
Oké, klaar.
So we moved the stone just a little bit. I don't know, how many meters did we move it?
2.
2 meters. It's not its final position, it will be a little bit more that way. But before we move it, we want to restore the retaining wall below and also level the ground a little bit. But we've put 2 stones underneath and we'll probably raise it up a little bit higher when it goes into its final spot. And then we'll also use lime mortar to put between the stones so that it's super stable and nothing moves. Het enige jammer is dat je nu die zomaar daar kan.
Ja, daar gaan we een bankje weer aan plaatsen. Aha, en dan zie je dat kapelletje niet van de andere. Should have worn gloves. Many of these rocks were dug up by the excavator when they put in the gas pipeline in spring, but they'll come in handy now when we are going to repair the retaining wall.
I'm now halfway through the compost pile, and as you can see, it's not fully degraded yet. It still looks quite recognizable, but there is some soil life in here. I can see ants and some other insects, small spiders, many things I don't know the names of in English. So that's good, but I think this pile has been too dry over the summer. And of course I haven't mixed it yet, so I hope that will help as well. It might also be slightly too small. So it's not 1 cubic meter. I think it's just under 1 cubic meter, and that's the size that is generally advised for compost heaps. So that probably also played a part. The deeper I go, the more soil-like the texture becomes. But it's quite interesting to me that this is so brown, while compost usually has a darker color. So we've been staring at this hole in the wall for a few days now. And we've talked to a specialist in France who has a lot of experience with restoring stone walls like this. And initially we thought, we can manage, we can do this, but it looks a bit more complicated than what we anticipated. So before we start, we are going to talk to a few more people and be well prepared. What we had expected was that behind the first layer of stones that has collapsed, there would be either another neat stack of stones or compacted soil and rubble. But instead, behind there is what looks like just lots of huge stones thrown on a heap, and we're afraid that if we start taking away the wall above here, that it will just all come tumbling down. And another kind of puzzling thing is that this hole doesn't turn out to be just a small hole, but it's like a vaulted space below the terrace that goes quite deep. 2, maybe 3 meters, it's hard to estimate. And so we don't know, there might be a similar thing happening on this side. This might also be a vault that has collapsed, or lots of question marks. So we'll keep you updated on the progress. But for now, we are parking this project until we learn more. I'm almost through the second pile of compost, and this one's way more recent than the other one. It's also not as decomposed as the other one, but during lunchtime I did some research into why is our compost brown, and it turns out that the color depends on the materials that go in there. So brown carbon-rich materials compost as brown stuff, and green nitrogen-rich materials turn your compost pile darker. And actually you can see that happening here. All the leaves of this vining plant, they are really all turning black. I think maybe I'm not doing anything wrong. It was just that the pile had a bit too much carbon-rich brown materials. So yeah, we're learning every day here.